Hello, and welcome to episode 151 of Checkpoint Chat. Got that right. My name is Alessandro Barbosa. I'm joined by Matty Figueira.
The usual.
The usual, as always, you know.
I mean, it's
the
business
same
as
old,
usual.
same old. Business as usual. I'm joined by the guy in the afro, the guy with the coffee.
Call me the furniture because I'm always here. I'm just waiting. You think I leave after every recording, but I just wait here for the next recording.
You just sit there.
I'm sentient.
It reminds me of a scene from is it the first Harry Potter, where he opens up that chocolate.
The chocolate frog, yeah.
Yeah, and he gets that like hologram card of Dumbledore,
yeah.
And then Dumbledore disappears, and Ron Weasley is like, "Well, you can't expect him to be there all day, can you?" And I'm like, "Okay,
listen,
that's you basically. You'd be there all day."
There's some law in Harry Potter, which, of course, you know, if you're gonna criticize, I love Harry Potter. Let me just put it out there. I'm a big fan of the franchise. Love those stories. Read them many, many, many times. But I acknowledge that there are some real loopholes in that entire story, which have only come to light, long after I've read all of them and seen, discussion forums and threads on Reddit, whatever. But the one made me laugh. What did I say? It must have been a TikTok or something recently where it's what's Ron's brothers' names? George and Fred Weasley. They've got the Marauders map, right? Which lets them see everyone,
at any time
in Hogwarts. And it's like obviously set in the first movie where they're like, hey, like let's just keep an eye on Ron. It's his first year, shame. Things must be hard for him. That's weird. Do you remember a kid named Peter getting sorted? They're like, no, I don't. That's weird. And it's like, that's a loophole. Like surely they would have seen after all these years that Ron's rat is, has a name. It's an actual person that's just transformed. But no, that's just overlooked.
Yeah, they only figure it out when it's pertinent to the story.
Exactly, yeah. So there's stuff like that. I'm like, just pretend it didn't happen. It's fine. The story's still good. It's really interesting. Some good things happening here. Yeah.
Also, like if they had that map, they would have seen so many things. Like, oh, Ron's going off into this place of the castle we've never seen before. Maybe we should go help him out. Or
that's weird. We've got Professor Quirrell right next to Voldemort here. Interesting.
Yeah. Or damn, Ginny is always by the people who get petrified in the Chamber of Secrets.
Interesting.
Weird.
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah, there's just things like that. But I suppose when you're putting together a universe like that as one person, it's hard to think out every single scenario or loophole.
And unless you become like a George R. R. Martin who does it so
oh my God,
like anally that he ends up not writing his books anyway. So
no,
he's just mapping out his law all the time.
Maybe he hasn't published the next book because he's just like, there's just too many plot holes. I can't fill them. I just can't fill them.
I would not be shocked. Like I think like anything, you can become obsessed with like perfection when you're a writer, and you get yourself into that stage where you just never finish that last 5%. Like,
I'm amazed though, because I mean, I don't know actual dates, but the last the series isn't called Game of Thrones. That's the first book. I think it's called the Song of Fire and Ice. Yeah. So the last book came out, I don't know how many years ago, but I
do not know.
I'm constantly blown away by the fact that the dude took a detour from that main series, to actually help finish writing the TV show, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And then to just casually whip out a prequel book, which is also like a good 700, 800 pages, whatever it is, which maps out the history of the Targaryens, which is now also being turned into a TV show, which I'm sure he's helping to co-write. So I'm like, this dude's never going back. He's done. Oh, and in between all of this, he just casually helped write the World of Elden Ring. Because
he just wrote the lore of Elden Ring.
Cool.
Yeah, just he has tons of time. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia entry now, so we were wrong. It's called A Song of Ice and Fire.
Of Ice and Fire. Okay.
The very first book came out in 1996. Wow.
How old is that?
Yeah, 96, then 98, then 2000. So a good 2 years between them. Then the trouble started.
Yeah.
Then 2005, and then the last book was 2011. The last book came out the same year the series debuted.
Mm.
That's
And then-
fucking crazy.
Yeah,
It's
but
been
even
10 years.
but even just think about the series came out in 2011. That
Yeah.
What blows my mind is that the first book was already like 15 years old by that point. If I read that I mean, I was obviously too young, but if I was my age in the 90s and I read that, I'd be like, this is the best shit ever. Like, what an excellent book, you know?
I guess it's sort of like the Lord of the Rings. They were written like decades
Oh my
before
God.
the movies ever got
Long
made.
before, yeah.
Yeah. Have you actually tried to read the Game of Thrones books?
I have read them.
Oh, you've read them. Okay.
I have not read I've read the prequel book, which has me excited for the show because I don't know, it's actually something I learned about myself recently. Well, in the last, let's say 3 to 5 years, is that I really enjoy history. Like I'm sure I've shared on the show before where if I finish a game, let's say Bloodborne or any game that's got a lot of lore behind it, like I take great pleasure in reading up stuff after the fact. And that's not actual history, right? That's just fictional, like stories and whatever.
You
I really
enjoy
enjoy
the world building, so to speak. Yeah.
And then I found that with the Game of Thrones books and the prequel, it's the same thing. It's like reading a fictional history storybook, especially the Targaryen one, because that really is like, well, 300 years ago, this person did this, and then they married this person, and they had this kid, and then it's like a few chapters about their reign, and then they die, and then, you know, the successor takes over, then it's a few chapters about their story. I was like, this is really interesting.
You've got
Even
like a
though it's
pinboard
fictional.
behind you with all those red like wool lines. Like it
Oh
all
my
makes
God.
sense now.
It all makes sense. Oh, and what's funny is that is the first part of a 2-part series, because that spans like 150 years, and then the second book's obviously going to trace, you know, the lineage back to Daenerys and her brother.
Is that what they basing the spin-off of?
It's
of
based
House
on, it's just the
Targaryen,
Targaryens, yeah. Like how they came to Westeros and how they came to power.
I'm keen to watch that because that is kind of like they allude to certain things, but it is otherwise like a big fucking question mark. You know, like many other big question marks that series refuse to kind of like delve into. I try to read the books. I think trying to read them, especially after having watched many seasons of it, like I struggled.
Yeah.
I did appreciate I like the idea of each chapter is from a character's point of view, and then they take the first person for that chapter. I thought that was quite an interesting way to frame things.
It's very clever until you get to the 4th or 5th book. There's one book. There are 2 books at the end of that whole saga that's currently out. Hang on, Lupin just coming to lie on my lap. Come here.
Oh, I thought he was coming to like vomit on your lap or
There you
something.
go.
You know how cats do. Oh, so cute.
He's like, I need to sleep. There you go.
Does he really? Did he just jump on the desk
table,
and he's
yeah.
like, hey,
He's like,
hey,
listen,
it's time.
nap time.
And now, what, is he already cuddled
He's
on
on
your
my
lap?
lap,
And he's,
yeah.
Jesus, that's so
He's
good.
ready.
That must be so nice when you
In winter,
working.
yeah.
It's just
Oh my God,
warm
super
cat.
warm. The 4th and I think it's the 4th and the 5th book. They take place over the same period of time in the series, whatever. So it's like book 4, it shows you the perspective of 4 to 6 characters, and then the 5th book shows you the perspective of another 4 to 6 characters, whatever. Except that 4th book is from the perspective of like the most boring characters. It's like, and then the 5th book's like, oh, cool, we can find out what John's up to again, and all these other characters we actually care about. So yeah.
So it's
But
like some of those episodes in the series where you're like,
Exactly.
oh, we're spending our whole time here this
Yeah.
episode. Cool.
Yeah. No,
Except
I
it's a whole
enjoyed them.
book, which is a lot.
Yeah, well, I have the show to thank for that, because I think it is at the end of season 3. I can't remember what happened, but I was like, I need to go read the books because I want to know how the story progresses, and I ain't waiting a year to find out.
Fair enough.
And then, much to my dismay, I reached the end of the books that are out. I was like, oh, the franchise isn't finished. This dude hasn't finished the books yet. Like, it's
and then
fine.
you look back, you're like, oh, he hasn't released a book in 10 years.
And I was like, that's fine. He'll surely publish the last book before the show ends. And we all know how that panned out. The show gave me the conclusion how many years later, and I'm like, oh my God, when's the book coming
Well,
out?
there's still apparently 2 books coming.
Yeah.
The winds of winter and a dream of spring.
So, thanks, George R.R. Martin.
It's fine. You'll play Elden Ring and you'll get a taste of his.
I'll get a taste of it. Yeah.
You know,
I'm excited for that game. It's only 5-6
I'm
months.
very excited for that game. Yeah, and the fact that it's so close, like you say. Oh, very keen.
My body's ready.
So yeah, I guess it's Checkpoint Chat. We talk about video games like Elden Ring, or books like The Game of Thrones, or cats like Sir Lupin of House Figuera.
First of his name.
First of his name. Luna, first of her name.
A defender of cuddles, eaters of food, all of the things.
Eaters of food. Providers of warmth.
Yeah, definitely. Joe, we talk about games sometimes.
We talk about games sometimes. This week's a bit of a weird one because Matty mostly played a game that we spoke about last week, and I continued playing the same game that I spoke about last week. And I'm playing a game that I can't talk about yet. So
life is hard.
Yeah, life's hard. I mean, we've got new games to play. I still need I need to check in with Scarlet Nexus still. I haven't really had time for that. You've got Monster Hunter.
Monster Hunter.
What is the full title of that game? Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Wings of Ruin.
Wings of Ruin. Okay.
So I can tell you that I literally installed the game yesterday. We got code. Very grateful. Thank you, Nintendo South Africa. And
what great people.
Booted it up. I was like, I'm gonna play at least an hour or two tonight so I can talk about it on the podcast tomorrow. And let me tell you, that opening movie is like 10, 15 minutes, I'd say.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say like an hour.
Oh, no. By the time I could actually play, I was so tired. I was like, I'm just going to pass out.
I always find this on Fridays. I'm like, hell yeah, get to play games. And then it comes like 8 o'clock and I'm like, why am I so tired? Like, and then 9 o'clock comes, I'm like, fuck, need to go to bed.
Well, I mean, I'm normally quite good, but I think, I don't know, maybe it was just a long week or... So yeah, I can't really talk about it other than saying that it is Monster Hunter. I saw a monster or two. I was like, I recognize those monsters. Cool.
Which did you see? A Rathalos?
It's just a Rathalos. And then...
I don't know any other monsters.
There was I can't remember now.
What's the one that sounds like a devil? It's got devil in the name.
Diablos.
Diablos, that's the one.
Diablos.
The bad guy from he's so bad he's got his own game.
Diablo. I can tell you that just being in this world and seeing these monsters, and even the icon. So like if you open up your menu, it's like you have herbs. It's the same icon, obviously from Monster Hunter. I'm like,
okay.
This makes me want to go back and play more Monster Hunter, which I haven't touched for a good few weeks now.
Yeah. Listen, if you do go back to Rise, let me know because, you know, I got bogged down with other review games at the time and I never put as much time as I wanted to into it. But now, like, I'm in the same position that I found myself in with Monster Hunter World where it's like people have moved on, you know? So, like, I don't want to play it alone. But if you return to it, I'll gladly join you on that adventure.
It's always a new weapon to learn, new things to grind. So, yeah.
But Monster Hunter Stories is more JRPG-ish. So, like,
it's a turn-based game, which I had no idea. When they first announced it back then, it's like, wow, Monster Hunter Stories 2. I was like, oh, it's an anime or something.
Yeah, they kind of took it for granted that you knew what the gameplay was. There's a second cat?
Trick. No.
Wait, what the fuck? That is super confusing. I feel like I just saw a glitch in the Matrix. Like I just saw Lupin.
He jumped off my lap like 2 minutes ago and he just came back. But I can imagine, I knew the
he like came back in the exact same manner. Like he just like envelops himself into your lap.
That is so funny. Your reaction, like, hang on, it's Lupin. What?
Yeah, I thought it was Luna. I thought Lenska was bringing you Luna, and you were gonna double up on cuddles. But
he
that was
jumped
some real
off
Matrix
me, and then he
shit.
just appeared. He's like, actually, I do want to stay on your lap. So now he's back here now.
Legitimately gonna go check my door and open it and see if there's like a brick wall there now. And
I know
just
what's
stuck
going
in
on.
here. Agent Smith is coming.
Oh my god, Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
It's Monster Hunter 2 is, well, when they first showed it, I really thought it was like an anime or a something like a spin-off or time. I had no idea it's a full-on like game in
JRPG.
the same, So I don't know how the game operates other than
it's kind of cool though. I hope there's more of a story, because like, you know, Monster Hunter World and Rise, they are all about that gameplay. Like, you are not coming there for like a captivating story.
What's interesting to me is that in Monster Hunter, you hunt monsters, right? And I think
no,
in this one, you end up, if I'm not mistaken, you ride monsters and you use them in battle. So there's clearly a whole separate, you know, mythos or mantra here on approaches to monsters. So in the opening cinematic, it is like hunters appear and they try to kill this Rathalos, and the people on the island are like, no, you can't kill the Rathalos. It's protected the island for years. Like, we are riders. Like, we don't do that to monsters. And I was like, oh, so there's a whole separate branch of people who don't hunt monsters.
They're the Greenpeace of the Monster Hunter universe.
I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they do. But at this stage in the story, literally the opening cinematic, I'm like, oh, okay, they prefer.
I mean, it does make sense. It's like you'd imagine in a world there'd be someone going, why are we just like indiscriminately like destroying this entire species of monster just to make kick-ass weapons out of them?
If you read into, I mean, not reading into the lore, but if you ever read any of the mission briefs you get in Monster Hunter, it's like, I was walking through the woods the one day and this Rathalos appeared, like, please can you take care of it for me? And it's like, what?
What did it ever do to you?
Okay, I guess so. Like, cool. You don't question it, you just do it.
My goodness.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into that though over the next. I think it's going to be a pretty long experience, so I'm sure I'll talk about it over the weeks to come. I'm not going to finish it in one sitting.
I also got a code, but I mean, we can't be both be playing that. Oh God, I just changed my view on Discord.
I know.
So I mean, I'll
you
probably
don't have time either.
Yeah. I mean, I'll check in here and there, but I've got other review stuff to do. But it does look fun. Like, I actually really like the style of the game. I think it looks really good. And it's got the reviews came out, I think, on Thursday. It got really solid reviews. I saw lots of 9s out of 10s, some 8s and 7s. Yeah, so like real good. So yeah, that's only on Switch, right?
It's actually on PC as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, is it?
I could be wrong. Let me
did
just
not
check.
know that.
Monster. I think Monster. If not, the first one was definitely on PC. Monster Hunter Stories 2. Let's see. Yeah, it's Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin. Yeah, it's on Microsoft Windows and Nintendo Switch. It's on both.
Okay.
Yeah. So pick it up on, I presume it's on Steam or...
I was just going through, the featured and recommended on Steam to see if it was there. And part of featured and recommended, I got served up an ad for She Will Punish Them, Essential Dark Fantasy ARPG.
Okay.
Where you customize a stunning succubus. Oh God, okay, so there's a boob slider. Okay. Okay, I'm just watching this trailer now.
You're watching it for science? Cool.
This basically looks like Diablo, but what if you could sleep with your character?
Wow. Good Lord.
This is wild. Okay. Never mind. It was just weird to see that like served up there. Yeah.
To you.
Weird.
What is in your search history that you're being served that?
I don't know. Well, it's featured by Steam, so that's not on me.
Damn you, Steam. So Monster Hunter Stories 2 on Steam is $8.99.
$8.99, sure. Okay. Well, I guess it is $60 on Switch, so it's a full price launch, which is that sounds about right.
Not too bad. Yeah. So that's that.
But you've been playing a lot of, you actually rolled credits on Chicory.
I did on a little week. So you spoke about it a bunch last week because you'd also rolled credits, and at the time I'd only played it the night before for about an hour or two just to at least have an understanding of the game. And even then I remember telling you that even though I'm still early into this game, it comes across as very charming, very easy to pick up, very captivating, and I was enjoying it. And I enjoyed it so much that I inhaled this game. I played about, I think it took me about 12 to 13 hours to roll credits. I finished it on Wednesday or Thursday, and I honestly played it at any free moments I had. I was playing this game because I was just so captivated by it. And yeah, I echo your sentiments. It's easily one of my favorite games this year, if not my favorite game this year. And I'd honestly say it's one of the best games I've ever played, like for so many different reasons. I mean, I'm not going to dive too deeply into it, but just for the fact that it's very well made by a small indie team. It's got a great style, great puzzles. The soundtrack is just killer. Lena Raine is just, I don't know, she really flexes in the soundtrack, particularly because there's such a range of instruments and moods and tones and everything. And yeah, if you don't know what Chicory is, it's basically, I thought it was quite funny. The premise for the game is you play as a character named after your favorite food, who's just trying to bring color back to a world that's lost it. Like that's really the elevator pitch. And it comes across as, it's not an art game. Like you think, oh, I've got a paintbrush, I'm gonna have to sit and color in and do art. And yeah, there are those mechanics, but you do not have to really engage with them, outside of using the paintbrush to solve puzzles. But if you look past that, the game is, for all intents and purposes, it reminds me so much of a traditional Zelda game where, you plonked into this top-down view world and you get abilities that just let you dig deeper and deeper into it, access areas that you've walked past earlier in your playthrough, that sort of thing. And it's just clever. Like the paintbrush that you're given is just used in such a smart way to create mechanics that are just genius. Like I suppose a very simple example is one of the starting areas is if you paint a tree, it sprouts. If you like, I suppose what's the opposite of paint? Like if you raise it,
like you uncolor it.
You uncolor it, like it shrinks. So you use this to navigate through obstacles that aren't possible initially, but you paint it, you can get through, or vice versa. And they just keep introducing these new mechanics, and it's done in a way that I never feel like a mechanic or something overstays its welcome. Even when you enter a new area, it's like, oh shit, like this is the mechanic they're using here. And you do it for a few screens and you're done. It's never like this long, lengthy slog through. Not that would be a bad thing, but it's just like a taste of, here you go. Here's this twist. Cool. Solve this area. Okay, you're done. Here's an upgrade. Go to the next area. Oh, here's this twist. Here's a few screens of it. Cool, you've solved it. Here's an upgrade.
I feel like every screen builds upon your understanding in a pleasant way.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said last week. It's the puzzles are done in a way that they're not super simple, but they're not like straightforward. You don't walk into a room and go like, oh, okay, instantly I know what to do. You might take a second or two to be like, oh, I know what to do. I'm not sure how to do it. And it just gets that great balance of it's not too hard, it's not too easy.
Because I hate puzzle games, and these often happen where you walk into a space and you know immediately how to solve it. But part of you understanding how to solve it, you know how many steps are involved to solve it, and you're like, I actually don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're just like, oh, this is such a tedious way to solve this puzzle, but it's the only way. And I feel like it never does that.
No.
Chicory never does
that.
I
laugh because you watched, so I ended up putting some of my footage that I'd captured over your discussion last week. And you watched it, you're like, oh my God, you solved this room, or you solved this thing in a complete different way to what I did.
Yeah, I was shook. I couldn't believe it because I'm watching and I'm like, okay, I know what he's gonna do here. And then you do something completely different. And I was like, I did not know I could do that. Like, so basically there's this gap where you have to get across, and you're at a portion of the game where you've just been introduced to like these little gas bubbles that when you paint them, they explode. So I assumed in my pacifist way that I needed to move this bubble in the space of the gap and then walk across it. You in your destructive way, who chose violence clearly that morning, you
did.
You brought the bubble to the chasm, to like the edge of the chasm, stood next to it, and then exploded the bubble, and it catapulted you
to the other side,
the next side. And I was like, what?
Wow.
I didn't even. And at that point of the game, you don't know that eventually you'll get a power to hop, which would make that portion trivial. And I was just like, I didn't even know I could do that because I didn't know how gravity worked in this game. Clearly.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's just clever in that regard. But mechanics and well, can I just point out the world design is really, really good. If I think it's very typical. It feels like a typical Metroidvania where you can see areas but you can't get to them. But when you get abilities, you think like, oh, I'm going to break this game wide open. But they've thought of things, and they still like cut off areas, knowing like, oh, the person can jump, for example, but we don't want them to reach this area. So we'll, this is somewhere they need to come later. They just designed it so well. It's really put together.
At the
so
beginning,
well.
I was almost like a bit mad that there wasn't a fast travel system. Eventually, there is one that you unlock, but it's like only in the last third of the game. And, on reflection, I realized why they did that is because they really want you to, they want you to navigate the world in a way that lets you see things that you will then remember to come back to. Like the number of times I was blocked, my path was blocked because of a river or water. And then eventually you get an ability to swim in water and you're like, okay, sweet. And then your paths are blocked by like waterfalls, and eventually you get the ability to swim up waterfalls. It like you said, it breaks the whole game open. And I love that one of the areas that you find late in the game is like a couple of screens away from the main like landmass. Eventually I was like, okay, the game's eventually not going to let me swim this far out. And then I found a piece of land and I was like, oh shit, I'm actually meant to be here.
Yeah, it's done so well. But even just mechanics and gameplay aside, just the story, like I can't remember the last time I played a game where like I just laughed so much through the dialogue or just relatable moments. Like Lenska was often working next to me and I just laughed. She's like, what? I'm like, I just can't deal with this game.
Yeah, there's
like,
some great lines. Yeah,
there's just some real good dialogue, and even just the message of the game, just the material it tackles. It does it in such a, like the only way I could explain it to someone like you or to anyone is I kept messaging you saying like, I can't deal with this game. And like, and obviously not in a negative way of just like, it's so wholesome. It's so good. Like I really, really enjoyed my time with it. And like, I hate being that person that, wants to shout it from the rooftop, like, you must play this game. And I'm the guy like, walking through pub, like, have you played Chicory? But I'm like, this is a game I want people to play. Like, I really feel that it's something that everyone can pick up and get some value out of. Like, whether you've ever dealt with imposter syndrome or just anything, it's like, it's just packed with really good life lessons and just moments that make you reflect, like, yeah, I've dealt with that before, or I can so relate to that.
Yeah,
and it does I think
that's
I
think that's exactly it. It's like, you read or you listen to discussions like ours of this game, and you're like, oh, I don't really feel like playing a game that is about depression or these like hard hitting themes. But like you said, it's peppered so well with these moments of like humor and whimsy. But I think there is a theme there for every player to latch onto. It deals with these things in a vague but also like a very direct manner that you can kind of paint in the blanks as you relate to its story. So I think I agree with you. I think everyone should at least give this game a chance, especially like a few hours, because the puzzles do start as really trivial, but it really opens up. And again, like you said, you finished it in 12 hours. I finished it in like 10. It's not a long game, and you get so much out of it.
It's amazing because I sit and I think, like, shit, can I really call this like one of my favorite games this year? When look, time's not a thing when it comes to games. Like, you could play a 2-hour game and it can, stick in your memory for for years, whatever. But I think it only took 10 to 12 hours for this game to like make such an impression on me. It's really so good. Yeah.
It's a stunning game. It's you know, and I've been following the game for a while because I just whenever I saw gifs of it on Twitter, you know, following Lena Rain on Twitter, she would often share things about the game. I always thought, oh, this looks cute, this looks fun, but I really didn't understand what the gameplay was. And I think maybe it was good that I didn't look into it further because it was such a surprise when it was revealed to be like, oh, this is a puzzle game. This is an adventure puzzle game. This is super my you know, bread and butter. So
it's interesting. I always found that this isn't a universal law, but in my experience, I found that the less I know about something when I start it, the more I enjoy it because it just takes you by surprise. Like I'm in the exact same boat as you. I only knew about this game because of the composer who's like, oh, hey, I'm making the soundtrack for this game. It's like, well, shit, I really enjoyed Celeste. I love the music of Celeste. So I'm very keen to hear more of her work. And then it was like, oh, cool, this game looks cool, whatever. And only when you played it and it got these rave reviews, I was like, oh, it's not just some like 2D side scroller or top down, you know, adventure game. There's a lot more to this game.
I feel like I feel the same about Celeste. Like I knew Matty Thorson, like she had made games in the past. And when Celeste came out, I was like, oh, okay, I know the designer of that game. I'm gonna check this out. And then it was like, oh shit, this game is fucking incredible. Game. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I agree with you. You know, it's kind of the curse. I feel like, I mean, we can both relate to it when you write about games or are very in tune with the day-to-day for games. You can, you know, you become so invested in the marketing of a game or you see so much of a game that when it comes out, it doesn't blow you away in the same way. And I feel, in a way, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart was a victim of that. Like, I had seen so many trailers of the game and I knew what to expect that I think maybe some of the game's real, like, surprises were completely missed on me. So that's just, you know, that's the nature of the industry. And it's something to remind ourselves of, you know, when you consider that the large majority of people playing games are not like us. A lot of the time, every game they buy is a surprise. And
it's a surprise,
I'm envious.
So yeah, if you want to be surprised, let me tell you, Chicory, it'll run on a toaster. It says on the product page, it'll run on a toaster. It
does, right? Okay, did you go check? Yeah. It genuinely does. It's quite funny.
It's on PS4, PS5, PC, Mac. So if you have access to
this game platforms, on Switch would be
oh my god, it needs to come to Switch. I'm sure they have plans.
Absolute dream. Yeah. Even with like stylus and touchscreen support. Like I would I'd love to. I actually need to go back to it because there's as part of the epilogue after you roll credits, there is something else to do. And you have to finish all of the art school submissions to unlock it. So
does this relate to that one door you cannot get through? No. Did you clear the whole map?
I didn't. There were 2 parts which I couldn't figure out how to get to, and then I had to write my review.
Okay. No, because there's literally one grade off area in my map, and it's just one screen with this door, and I don't know the code to it, so I assume it relates to that.
Oh,
maybe not.
So that's interesting because I know the code to that. I just don't know where the door is.
What?
There's a side quest you complete. There's a side quest you complete, and one of the rewards is a character showing you a long lost code that they know to a door. And I was like, okay, I got the code, but I have no idea what door you're talking about.
I know where the door is. Damn it.
Yeah, it's a side quest to do with the people in the art classes who constantly talk shit about your art.
Okay. Okay, I know
exactly. You got to complete her stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
Then you'll open that door.
Guess I've got an incentive to go back to Chicory. Yeah, but again, would highly recommend. It is a phenomenal game and something I really think everyone should at least try. It's dirt cheap on Steam as well. It's like $130.
Yeah, it feels criminal. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's $20 on PlayStation, which means
it's like 300 and something. But I actually, because I considered, I was like, "Ooh, I'm gonna play it on PlayStation." Saw that price, and I was like, Let me check on Steam because I actually think I want to use a mouse for this game. And then, I much preferred. There are some puzzles in that game where I had to be really quick with my mouse, like moving the paintbrush. I was just thinking about how that worked on a controller, and I'm kind of glad I'm played it on PC. Yeah. So it's real good. Real good game.
Good time.
I do appreciate that you championed your own design throughout the game. On your shirt.
Let me tell you that game is. I mean, obviously, if you're an artist, you'll find probably more joy in that game because there are parts in the game where it's like, hey, can you draw something or replicate
can you replicate this art piece?
God, and
I was so bad at them.
I am not at all artistically inclined with a paintbrush, let alone a pen or anything else that requires drawing. But I just went for it and I had such a good time. I had so much fun trying to replicate. Like, I started to share some of my stuff where I'm like, it looks like, at least I kind of got the resemblance right, but it looks cartoony and I love it.
It's like, there's this moment where Chicory asks you to do a self-portrait of
oh my god,
him
I've got to share that.
and then Chicory does one for you, and the results are just like mine. I was just like, I'm so sorry, I'm so shit at art.
She's like, it's perfect. I'm like, I can't even look at you.
Yeah, exactly. That's great.
It's too good.
Yeah. So
you've played a little bit more of.
Yeah, I've been trucking along on that Final Fantasy VII Remake. We're chatting about it before we started recording, and I must be maybe an hour or two away from the ending. I'm on chapter 16.
I cannot wait for you to finish this game so we can finally do a spoiler cast or something.
I guess we'll leave stuff there. I won't talk about some of the new characters I just met and what I know is about to happen. But I continue loving this game. I was really confused because I got to like chapter 8 within like 9 hours, and I was like, Jesus, I'm really breezing through this game. But I feel like the later chapters are much more story heavy, so they really take the time to tell the story. So now I'm at like 28 hours or so. But okay, I've done a lot of side stuff. I did a lot of the combat challenges and stuff, which I really enjoy because I think the combat is spectacular in that game.
It's too good.
So I'm having a great time. I genuinely love this game. There's problems with it. There's some little things that I think are stupid. And if I have to hear Tifa saying she can't wait for a shower after a combat scenario again, I will lose my fucking mind.
Yeah, there's some of the dialogue that even just running through a town, if the moment you're like within a radius of someone, they just trigger the same line. You're like, you've said that at least 35 times now.
The combat ones are so egregious because you're with the same party for so long often. So like, they cycle through the same 5 quips at the end of battle, like so frequently. Like the amount of, the shower thing, the amount of times Cloud is like, keep those gloves up. And Tifa's like, okay, coach. I'm just like, okay. How many times are you going to say this? Like,
I get it, God.
Yeah, I get it. God's sake. But those are small little blemishes on a game that's otherwise like phenomenal. I've really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to jump into that DLC. And then be in the same boat as you. The long wait till the sequel.
Let me tell you, at least the DLC is here now because I finished the game a year ago
last
already.
year,
and it's a good excuse to just go back to that world. And let me tell you, Yuffie's combat is it's good.
I've heard great things about Yuffie's combat. So
it has me excited for. Like you've met, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not, I won't say the name for reasons for people who are new to the game, but you've met a character who you can't control, but you will get to control in upcoming games. So like, I'm keen to see how they control. What do they do with the rest of the party that you're going to meet later in the, in later releases? I'm quite keen to see what their twists are. Because even just in this game, the party of 4 you have access to, Cloud, Barret, Tifa, and Aerith, like they're so different, and they've got these lists of things. Like I keep telling you about Barrett's one thing where if you hold down, if you've never played the game, you hold square to like shoot his automatic machine gun, and eventually he has to stop to like reload. But he also has a whole separate mechanic where if you push triangle, you charge up a bar, which lets him shoot off like a big shot. But they don't tell you this in the game, but you eventually figure out if you hold square and push triangle when he's reloading, that bar fills up a lot.
Way quicker. It's a game changer.
Yeah, and like I figured that out and I was like, oh man, like that is a game changer. And you start paying attention to that and it makes the combat like just so engrossing. You're like paying such close attention, making sure you maximize your movement, you're switching between characters at the right time. It is like a phenomenal spin on the classic, and I absolutely
I mean, there's
cannot
still
wait.
new things I'm learning about the combat. Even last night, I was fighting against one of those enemies where if they do a move called dance, if you attack them during that, they create a clone of themselves. And I didn't realize you're actually encouraged to do that because killing the clone does more damage to them than actually just trying to kill them by themselves.
Yeah.
So often I was like trying to prevent them from creating clones, but if you create a clone, you can kill them quicker, but you also run the risk of the clone binding one of your characters and then it's an instant kill. So it's like, it's so good. There's so much depth to this combat. And once you get in tune with, you have to keep switching characters so that the ATB bars fill up, it really sings. It just feels like you're constantly thinking, but also constantly moving. It's a real great evolution of real-time turn-based battles in a sense. So I would love a Final Fantasy 15 with this combat because I think that game would just be top tier. Because I love that game, but that combat was pretty lame.
Imagine being able to switch between your party in that game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could only fight as Noctis. Yeah, that's also very true. And have Ignis come up with new recipes during battle.
I mean, and magic was like a non-show in that game. It was there.
It was completely,
but it was like it's not a thing. If you compare that to Final Fantasy VII Remake, it's like it's night and day of how much you have to invest into the combat here. Whereas there, like you could dodge and do things, but it was really like I'm gonna hold square. Cool, I'm gonna dodge.
I mean, it looked good. It was very flashy. I was watching Noctis like blink in and out of existence to attack people, but in terms of like actual input from the player, this is just miles better. So if this is the format Square's going with for future 16. Final Fantasies, like 16, I'm fucking all in on that.
Take my money.
I wanted to ask, is materia in all of the games?
No, it's a Final Fantasy VII thing.
Okay, because I know magic is in all of the games, but there was a moment in 7 where they explained where materia comes from, and I'm like, that'll be very hard to justify in other Final Fantasies then.
No, so you'll find, I mean, obviously the more Final Fantasies you play, the more you'll see this, but they all have, there's always similarities to the degree of, you can cast fire and you can cast lightning and do all these things. But how that happens is very different. So 7 was very smart in that no character is tied to an archetype because you can make, I mean, look, some characters are naturally better spellcasters, like Aerith is obviously, like she's clearly a spellcaster, but you don't have to make her the spellcaster. Whereas other Final Fantasies, it's like Final Fantasy VI, for example, this is the dude, this guy's a monk, like he's got monk attacks, monk abilities, this is your spellcaster, this is a thief who only does these things. But the way they incorporate it, how you learn spells and stuff, it always changes. Even Final Fantasy VIII, I think it was a thing of, the twist in 8 was you had to steal, or not steal, there was a mechanic where you'd basically like extract magic from the enemies you were fighting, and that's how you would cast it. You didn't equip magic per se. You would just steal it from enemies and then use it. There's always some twist, basically, is what I'm getting at.
I do like you said, there's no archetypes. I got a weapon last night, which for Cloud, which basically changed him into a spellcaster. It gave me way more magic damage than physical. Yeah. And I basically only used the weapon because I wanted to learn the proficiency. And I mean, Tifa currently on my party does a way more magic damage than she does physical. And Barrett is like my tank just because he has tons of health. Yeah. And I can use him to provoke enemy attacks. So like, but like I can change that up on a dime. And I think the smartest thing this game does is each weapon has its own ability points. So you can obviously spec your characters according to the weapon that they equip, and then just change out the materia. I did see someone, I don't know where it was on Twitter or somewhere, but recommend that the sequel should have a way to save loadouts, which I would really appreciate. So like have a set of materia that is specific to this weapon instead of just reslotting the same materia when you change weapons. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it would just save time, really.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. But I'd be curious when you finish the game if at any point you do decide to visit hard mode, because that is when
I don't know.
Yeah, no, see, that's the thing of like you have to make a choice. Like, actually, I want to give this a bash. On hard mode is when you start going, I have to really pay attention to the weapons I'm using, because even in hard mode you get more points to spend on your weapons, and you start to realize like, oh, this weapon is definitely better for attacking or for magic or whatever, and you start building your parties around that more than just having whatever.
I assume it's on hard mode that I'll get the trophies for like reaching level 50, because I'm nowhere near that with my current party.
Yes, yeah.
I'm on like level 36 or 37, and I'm like, there's no way I'm reaching 50 by the end of this game. But I've done everything.
You'll reach level 50 so quick in hard mode. It's actually laughable because you reach it like within the first 2 or 3 chapters, and you remain level 50 for the rest of the playthrough. But where the change comes in is that you have to now spec your weapons accordingly.
Oh, wait. So do you, when you start hard mode, do you take in your current party? You don't start at 0. Oh, okay. That makes a very big difference. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you keep your materia as well.
That would explain why, because there's some trophies of like, you need to do 300 or 400% stagger damage. And I'm like, how? I do not know. There's no way I can do that. I can get up to 200 if I'm lucky, but I can't go much further than that.
No, there's, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know, was it Tifa's key for that? I think.
Yeah, Tifa's uppercut adds stagger damage, but like, that's how I got to 200, but I didn't know. Anyway, we're getting into like the weeds of mechanics here.
Sorry.
Like, which would be very confusing.
I think this is one game we've probably spoke about the most on the podcast.
Yeah. It's great. It's good. And I can't wait to finish it and then like talk to you. Well, I can't wait to finish it because like my only real touchstone with Final Fantasy VII is Midgar. Like I don't remember playing beyond that. And so, once I get past the notes that I know are coming, like the rest of it is a completely new adventure, and I can't wait to delve into that because I'm really loving this. It's really good.
It's fantastic.
It is. Should we get to game releases?
I'm not going to talk about Final Fantasy for too long. 11 minutes later.
Listen.
My God, I'm with you. I'm the guy going, let's talk about it more.
No promises.
You can't end now. We need to talk about it more. Let's talk about the material. Let's talk about the franchise.
So we're looking at video game releases from the 10th of July. Can you believe it? 10th of July up until
oh my
16th
God.
of July.
I had no idea this is coming out this week.
Oh, right. I actually didn't know either. So let's start at the top here. Radio Viscera, which is a really cool name. I don't know what it is, but that seems
good.
like a very cool name, yeah. Coming to PC on July 13th. We've got Claire de Lune. Also PC July 13th. This game, Such Art. It's basically the sequel to Chicory here.
This is what people commented on my art in Chicory. They go, such art. Very wow.
That's early access on PC July 14th. Guild of Darksteel coming to PC and Switch July 15th. Oh, I missed one, sorry. Space Punks. I've seen a trailer for this. It looks like a sort of top-down Borderlands-ish vibe. So Diablo, I guess.
Diablo.
But in space. So that's coming to early access on PC July 14th. Then the two big ones for the week. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD come to Nintendo Switch July 16th. I'm very stoked for this because I've never played Skyward Sword. It's like one of the Zeldas I've never tried. So I've seen all the trailers for the quality of life improvements, and it seems like the original was insufferable because like in some of those quality of life improvement videos, they're like, what is the fairy? I forgot the fairy's name. But will no longer come up before you've attempted a puzzle to tell you how to solve it. I'm like, why the fuck would that be a good mechanic in the first place?
My God.
And then also every time you pick up an item, So they did this in Breath of the Wild. The first time you pick up a new item, you get a description for the item. And then after that, you just get when you pick it up, you get that thing on the side that shows. In Skyward Sword, they show you the description every time for every single item. Yeah.
My God. Okay.
My goodness. So yeah, I'm keen to play the definitive version of this game.
The prequel to Breath of the Wild 2, no doubt.
Well, it's the prequel to the whole thing. It's like the first game
but
in the lineage.
In my heart, believe that there's some there's a reason they're doing Skyward Sword. Because of out of all the Zelda games, like you've said, this one is insufferable. Like it probably, it often ranks lowest if there's ever the best Zelda games in order of, here's the order of the best Zelda games whatever, and it's usually like at the bottom of those lists.
And probably the hardest to convert, considering it was so dependent on
the
motion controls.
But I think because it's the same director who did this, who's doing Breath of the Wild, I'm like, I wonder if there's any little. I don't think it's a very obvious this is the setup for Breath of the Wild 2.
There's stuff in the trailer for Breath of the Wild 2 where there's sky palaces. So
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
I think you're onto something. Yeah, I definitely think you're onto something. So and then the last release for the week, Formula 1 2021, Vroom Vroom Simulator 2021, PC, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series consoles.
Where are you going to find the time for all these games?
I know, right? I mean, the two biggest releases of the week are two games I desperately want to play.
Do you want to play? Yeah. Now you need to choose. You choose Link or do you choose Hamilton?
Just, good Lord. Well, listen, Link isn't knighted. Link pretends to be.
No.
Lewis Hamilton is knighted. Sir Lewis Hamilton.
Isn't Link? Link is a knight. He
hasn't been knighted. He's just a pretend knight. He's like Cloud pretending to be a soldier.
Oh, whatever. I'm sure in Breath of the Wild he was formally knighted. He's like
bullshit. Never.
Zelda's not, man. He's a protector. Jesus.
Is this Breath of the Wild? No, it's Skyward Sword. It's a different game.
Oh God, you're right. Maybe in this game he's not knighted.
Exactly.
Okay, let's get into some game news while we're speaking shit here. Suppose we could stick with the Nintendo shenanigans and we can touch on the surprise announcement / not so surprising announcement of the new Switch, but the not so new Switch.
Yeah, I guess the surprise is that it wasn't what everyone was expecting it to be based on, people want to say it was just rumors and leaks, but it was reporting by many outlets. Bloomberg had a big report on it. You had Eurogamer corroborating some things. Everyone was under the impression that this Switch would be the Switch Pro, so to speak, and be a slight bump up in performance, have a dock capable of 4K output. Turns out, that might still be coming, maybe. Who knows? But the Switch we're getting this year is definitely not that. So it is the Nintendo Switch OLED model. And the biggest change is in the name. It's a bigger screen, so 7 inches as opposed to 6.1. And it is an OLED panel, which anyone who's played OLED will tell you is way better than the current LCD. Yeah. So, the original Vita had an OLED panel. A lot of premium 4K TVs on our OLED. They provide much better contrast, better brightness. That depends. But you'll just have much richer colors, and the better contrast is a huge thing. So, yeah, that's the first big one. The other big one was the kickstand, I think.
There it is.
The kickstand is actually a thing.
Stand. Yeah.
It looks cool. The
it's
fact
much
that you can
design.
adjust it. Yeah. Oh, way, way, way better. It looks far more stable as well. So I think that's cool.
Better than the toothpick on the.
Oh God, yeah. No, the one on the current Switch is I barely use it because it's so.
I'm so scared I'm gonna break.
It's so unreliable. It really is. The improved audio is actually also, I think, a really cool addition because I don't think the audio on when I play Switch portably is bad, but if it's better, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Stoked for that. Yeah, most of these improvements are all for portable play. If you play primarily in docked, the only real improvement, which may be a bit of a con as well, is you get a wired LAN port. And I say it's a con because you get a wired LAN port, but you get one fewer USB port as a result.
Oh, really?
So yeah, so it's a more of a trade off. So yeah, this upgrade is definitely geared at people who play the Switch portably because it is the same internals. Nintendo's confirmed. There's no graphical upgrade. There's no difference in performance. So if you were hoping for the dock to maybe provide a upscaled 4K output so it would look better on TVs, like I did, it's not happening, at least not with this iteration of the Switch.
No.
So, yeah, it's coming out on, October 8th?
October 8th, yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be $350, so it is $50 more than the current Switch. So it will be, the current Switch locally goes for $8,000.
I think it's 8, yeah.
So I would expect, they haven't announced a price, but I'm going to spitball and guess around 9.
Yeah. Which is wild to think when you can get a PlayStation 5 discless for, what is it? Is it 9 or 10?
10.
Is it 10, yeah.
Yeah, you can get a Xbox Series S for 8. So it's a tough sell. I mean, as someone who bought the Switch when it launched at 6,300 Rand, I think it was at the time, or 6-7, I can't recall. Yes, things have changed.
I think it was 6, yeah.
Yeah, the Rand has changed. The Switch price hasn't increased. It's the economy that has changed. But, I find it hard as a Switch owner to look at this and go, yeah, I'm going to sell my Switch and upgrade to this one. But then again, maybe this isn't the product for existing Switch owners. I think if you are buying a new Switch, this is the one to get.
This to me, my knee-jerk reaction was exactly the same, I think, as many existing Switch owners going like, I'd love to have a new Switch. Like, I love my Switch, but if you gave me a 4K OLED Switch with, like, I don't know, all the bells and whistles where it's like, oh shit, like this is a big upgrade, then I'm like, cool, I'm there. But the fact that it is, look, and I say it just is, like, the new screen's cool, the stand's cool, the speakers are cool, but I have a Switch Lite. Like, I'm not the target audience, I don't think, for this. This is ideal for someone who only has, say, the Switch Lite, for example, or who doesn't have a Switch. You want to now have if you've got a Switch Lite, you think, maybe having a dock would be nice, and I want to have a better handheld experience. Cool. Or I've never had a Switch. Shit, why would I buy the original when I can get this beautiful new version of it? So yeah, not only that, like there've been no announcements on, cutting the price of the original, but I have to believe at some stage they will eventually drop that price. And it just puts more Switches into the hands of people, which is not a bad thing. Like, I think, how many Switches have been sold? I swear I saw a figure the other day. It's like, is it 70 or 80 million?
Yeah, it's around about there.
Which is like ludicrous.
It's absurd.
It's really, really high. Like, the Switch has been one of Nintendo's best consoles. And like, if you listen to the show, you know that Alessandro and I are big advocates of the Switch. Like, we love playing on the Switch. But like, I am a bit like, I would have liked a better upgrade. But you know what?
Yeah.
It's not off the table. Like, there might be something next year. Like, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I think at this stage
I don't think it's off the table. There's I don't want to read so much into, there was a lot of reporting on a Switch Pro coming out this year, but we're also still in the midst of a microprocessor shortage. So
exactly, yeah.
It could have easily been Nintendo going, well, we have these things, we have the production ready, and the idea was to have a new chip in this thing, but we cannot produce the number we want to without waiting for these chips. So we are just going to change our plan. This will be the interim model, and then the chip upgrade one will now come much further down the line.
Yeah. Well, that was what I thought, like, after, the day that followed, is like, why would Nintendo take this approach? And it's exactly that, because I think the internals are 100% the same, to the point that even the battery is like the exact same size.
Yeah, literally the same.
And I have to believe it's 100% a production line thing of like, well, we've already got this production line for batteries, for example. Like, it would be silly to try change it up now when there are shortages. So let's just stick with it. Maybe this just pads out the Switch for another year or two, and then we look at, upgrading or introducing a mid-gen Switch, or maybe we just introduce a new one. Like, I don't know what they're planning in 2 or 3 years.
I think at this point, like, I'm not super in the camp of we will get a mid-gen refresh now. I think this is the refresh. I think we will get a Switch 2, you know what I mean? I don't see the point in launching a mid-gen refresh like 6 years into the thing's life cycle. So, but then again, Nintendo does whatever the fuck it wants. As clear by this. Everyone was expecting one thing and they didn't go with that. So trying to predict what Nintendo is going to do is very difficult. So I do think though that, if you have the opportunity to look at the OLED model versus the LCD one, you will definitely look at the OLED one and be like, fuck, I really want that,
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Yeah, because just turn on your Vita next to your current Switch and you can tell the screen without the resolution difference, like just the color and depth of color is on another level.
Oh yeah, I think I'm more upset by the fact that I have no valid excuse
exactly
to upgrade. I'm like, damn it,
I have no reason to get this upgrade. It is like a silly upgrade for an existing Switch owner, in my view. But yeah, I mean, the one thing that bums me out, and this was expected, but I would have thought that all the noise over it would have changed something, but it's using the exact same peripherals, which means the exact same Joy-Cons with the exact same thumbstick drift. Yeah. So that sucks. Like, I know that is not a Nintendo specific issue because all 3 console makers use the same parts for their thumbsticks, the same metal contacts that eventually wear out and produce the drift. But, I feel like the Switch is generally the one that is brought up in conversations the most when it comes to this, and I thought Nintendo would maybe address that, and it doesn't seem like they do.
My PS5, not even a year old. Not even, what is it, came out in November. So what, 9 months old? I have awful drift on my controller.
Fuck.
And
unbelievable.
I mean, I play a fair bit of PS5, but I know I don't play nearly as much as people who have a PS5 as their dedicated console. It's just like...
No, that's ridiculous.
I need to...
At least the DualSense seems to be a much easier controller to open and try and fix that, because the Joy-Con is so small. I mean, when I modded my Joy-Con, it like I ended up breaking one. They are very delicate little pieces of hardware. So
yeah. At the very least, my DualSense is still under warranty, so I'll make a plan.
Oh yeah, that's also true. So you need to get that shit swapped out. Maybe you'll get a nice red or black one as a replacement.
Imagine. But keeping up with the Sony news, Sony had a little sneaky showcase this week.
Yeah,
a state of play with Norman Reedus and his BB.
Yeah, so it was billed as a smaller state of play, mostly indie focused. It didn't seem like there was big news at it. Even I didn't stay up to watch it, but like looking back, I was like, yeah, okay, maybe it was not so bad that I didn't stay up watching because it wasn't that much. But we can run through what was there because there were some really cool announcements. Moss Book 2, so basically a Moss sequel, is in development. They announced. If you don't know what Moss is, it's like a top-down adventure game where you play as like a mouse knight, but it's in VR. It is probably one of my favorite PSVR games and one of my favorite VR games in general because I think it uses VR in really inventive ways, and I just think the story is cute. And I like it a lot, so I'm keen that there's a sequel coming.
Moss 2.
Then we got
Arcadegeddon?
Arcadegeddon is a hero shooter from the creators of Predator Hunting Grounds and Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's out in early access already. I didn't particularly like those previous 2 games, but I'm keen to see this out because I think it's got a cool style. It reminds me a lot of Splatoon.
This is like Splatoon and Fortnite had a baby.
It does, yeah.
Really?
And then dubstep. The soundtrack is so dubstep. It's crazy. So that's out in early access now. Then we got another look at Tribes of Midgard, which is an isometric action game, but Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out on July 27th, so later this month.
Mm-hmm.
Another trailer for Fist, which stands for Forged in Shadow Torch. Yeah. You play as like a bunny that's got this like fucking huge mech arm. It looks cool. And it's like a
good lord
side-scrolling. I can't tell if it's like a Metroidvania, but it's like a side-scrolling action game.
Nice.
It looks real cool. I'm keen for this. And that's out on September 7th.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's Arena Legends.
Another
is a live service dress-up brawler. Yeah, Battle Royale. Leaving early access on PC and coming to PS4 and PS5 as part of PS Plus.
Oh, so that's an early little PS Plus reveal, I guess, for August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sifu, which is that third person. It's like, what if we took like a brawler with Streets of Rage vibes and made it a third person action game? It looks really fucking good. I cannot wait for this game. It has been delayed to early 2022, but I am super stoked. I just think it looks really good and the action looks awesome. So, yeah. It's from the developers of Absolver, which was basically like a martial arts MMO. So they've got some pedigree in making these sort of fighting systems. Yeah.
I remember seeing some discourse on Twitter or whatever, where in this game, you if you die, you basically age.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think eventually you just age out and die. So,
oh, shit.
Yeah.
Don't die. That's really cool, though.
Jet. We got another trailer for Jet the Far Shore. Actually, the first gameplay trailer for Jet the Far Shore. So, the reason why I'm super excited about this game is it's made by the developers of Super Brothers Sword and Sorcery, which is an incredible game that you should absolutely play.
Mm-hmm.
And the gameplay trailer is like you are an explorer on a foreign planet, and it's more like pacifist exploration.
Mm-hmm.
So you're often in this jet that is like flying across this planet, and when you get out, you're in a first-person view. So the shift in perspective between the two is kind of really cool. It gives me No Man's Sky vibes.
I was just going to say this is No Man's Sky.
It looks, but it's not multiple planets. You're just on one planet. But the exploration vibe seems very cool. So yeah, I'm very excited for this game, and it's still on track to come out later this year.
Nice.
And we got a trailer for I guess it's an anime adaptation. Listen to this title: Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the Hinokami Chronicles. That is one. It's got 2 hyphens in it.
It does. And
no one is typing that out in the review.
Hinokami Chronicles. Nice.
It is a video game adaptation of the Demon Slayer anime, coming out October 15th.
Nice.
Got a new trailer for the Yakuza spin-off Judgment. The sequel is called Lost Judgment. And
this is an actual sequel. Okay.
Yeah. The quotation here by Kotaku is, "It looks like more Judgment," which I agree with. Yes.
Who would have thunk?
We got a trailer and a release date for Death Stranding on PS5. The director's cut of Death Stranding. It will include new story missions, combat mechanics, and even a racing mode. Because why not? Yeah. I looked at the trailer, and some of the new mechanics look really cool. Like they've added more combat mechanics. They've even added a shooting range for some of the new weapons you get. But I think some of the cargo weapons are really cool. Like you get a bipedal robot that can carry cargo for you, or just carry Sam Bridges. You've got ramps that you can build that can boost your car over them.
Nice.
You've got something called a cargo cannon, so you can shoot cargo from one end of a chasm to another. I guess you're going to damage your cargo doing that, but whatever.
But there must be a reason for that. Maybe you shoot it into like a, I don't know, grass or
if
something.
I can't shoot myself into there, like, what's the point?
Kojima.
So then there's also new story missions in this racing mode. So it is a $10 upgrade. But unlike Ghost of Tsushima, which is a $10 upgrade just to get the higher resolution and higher frame rate, and then $30 for the DLC. This $10 upgrade is for
does
everything.
Yeah.
It's everything's included, which I'm okay with that $10 thing if it's like all the new content and I kind of just want to play this game with the DualSense. I feel like the DualSense is a game that would super benefit this game. So
you know when you're going to fall over.
yeah, exactly. So that's out September 24th. And cross-save will be supported, which is cool.
Nice.
And then there was a 9-minute gameplay walkthrough for Deathloop, a Microsoft Studios game that is only coming to PlayStation 5.
Hilarious. This game, so I haven't watched any footage outside of, I suppose, the initial gameplay trailers, because I'm worried about the exact same thing you mentioned earlier that you had with Rift Apart, where you see enough of it, a lot of the surprise gets ruined. And it feels like Deathloop has just had a lot of time to be shown off.
It's had too many gameplay reveals.
It's just been at too many. So
yeah,
I'm excited for it, but
yeah, I'm with you. I'm stoked, but like I've seen enough. I just want to play the game now, and I think it is a consequence of the game being delayed to later this year. So, but yeah, it looks good. I think what I like most about it is that it looks like Dishonored, which I really like, but it looks like Dishonored where you're encouraged to kill and go loud, where Dishonored would often not penalize you, but at the end of each mission you'd be like, hey, this is how stealthy you were, and it would always feel bad if I wasn't super stealthy. This one is like, use your powers, but also it is a shooter. So yeah, I'm very keen for this. I think it looks great.
Soon, coming out soonish.
Very soon, yeah.
Cool. That's the PlayStation Showcase.
Your pick for the next one.
Ubisoft. New Assassin's Creed will be a live service game, codenamed Assassin's Creed Infinity.
Everyone's going Infinity. We've got Halo Infinite, we've got Assassin's Creed Infinity. So this comes from a report from Jason Schreier at Bloomberg, who says this is still a good 3-4 years away. Yeah, listen, I don't know what to think of this. It could go two ways. I feel like the last two Assassin's Creed games have been far too big. Valhalla and Odyssey were more concerned with content over quality of content, in my view. And I thought Origins found a good balance of not being too colossally big, but also, having a lot of depth to the gameplay and to its stories. So my immediate knee-jerk reaction is like, oh God, they're just going to keep making these games bigger and bigger if it's going to be like an evolving platform. But, since then, Jason Schreier's tweeted like saying, this could also be a platform for smaller stories, instead of making a single release of a smaller game, they just put on a smaller adventure with a different time period onto here. And if that's what they're looking at, then sure, I'm into that.
Yeah.
If we get smaller stories like the Irish DLC for Valhalla that you played, that's cool. I'd play that. I really am not keen on a 100-hour adventure, but if
it's too much.
What I do like about this is that the idea is that this is a platform for multiple different timelines. Yeah. So it won't be locked into like, Norse mythology or Greek mythology, or whatever. It could be it could hop between different time periods, which is cool. But yeah, it's 3 to 4 years away. So what we think of it now might radically change. It might also never come to be. So
yeah, and we also, this isn't necessarily the next Assassin's Creed. I'm sure they have something in the pipeline for.
I can't imagine them not releasing another Assassin's Creed for the next 4 years. That just seems ludicrous. So yeah. I assume we'll get one big core release before this really hits. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Japan, Assassin of Tsushima.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, basically.
My goodness. Okay, then we've got some smaller bits and bobs of news. We can start with a sealed copy of The Legend of Zelda selling for a casual $870,000.
It's a lot of money.
It's a fair bit of money, It's what's like 15 million rand, 14 million rand. Cool.
Yeah, around about there. It's a ton of money. It's a sealed copy of the original Legend of Zelda on NES. This Perspex case looks super heavy duty to keep it sealed.
Holy hell, yeah.
A rating of 90, so or 9.0. So I don't know what that means in terms of auctioneering.
I love that this is like an original pack of the Zelda, and it says includes invaluable maps and strategic playing tips. Yo, Nintendo. Got him. This is, I mean,
it was released in 1988. Oh, 1987.
Yeah,
wow.
This variant was produced for only a few months in late 1987 before a new variant was replaced.
Rare.
Yeah.
That's
so I think I don't know a lot about, vintage stuff, but as far as I can understand, 9 is obviously a very high rating. And I could be wrong, but I think it's basically impossible to have a 10 because, if you handle something, it's already lost its value.
Damn, it sounds like video games.
Oh my God. So I think a 9 is like the person literally had this and then just sealed it. Like it is sealed. You can actually see it in this
you can see the plastic is sealed. It's probably sealed in like a airtight place so it didn't degrade or anything like that.
But can you imagine being this person and now you hang on to this game and you just, I don't know whether you just had the insights or by pure luck, you just know this thing's worth so much money. It will be worth a lot of money one day. Like what would be the modern day version of this? What game are you sealing so that you can sell in like 30, 40 years?
It's a 35-year long game, It's, it's crazy. I didn't think it would sell for this much, but that's crazy. It's a lot of money. And, whoever bought this is putting it in a collection. They're not playing this game, obviously.
No.
You can play this game on your fucking Nintendo Switch if you want to. It's like...
But you know what? Someone's rich.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's it. Someone's rich. I see a Lupin next to you again.
No, this is a Luna now.
Oh, is this Luna being like, hey?
I don't have space on my lap. Sorry. Lupin
she's looking. She's
it.
like, Lupin's there. How dare he?
I just want some cuddles. No, what are you doing off the table? Oh my God. Yeah. Bounce back to Sony. Sony pulls an ad showing a PS5 upside down.
This was funny. Yeah.
Hilarious.
There was a tweet with an ad for like Sony products. And in it, you had someone playing a PS5 and they had it sitting horizontally on their entertainment system and it was upside down. Like that disk drive was on the top. It should not be there.
That will break your game. Your
it
machine,
will break your game. Yeah. Also, the stand doesn't work like that. So how did they manage to get it standing like that? I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's an advertising blunder and, ad agencies are brought in or, have internal ones and a mistake like this could be made. I just think it's very funny.
It's hilarious. I mean, the fact that it was pulled down.
Yeah, the fact that Sony pulled it down is quite...
No.
I wonder if they did that because they're like, oh God, if people watch this and try to put their consoles like that and then they break, maybe it's a...
But
it's more of a legal thing.
Who would do... Yeah, I think it's a legal thing, but look, I acknowledge that there would be one person on the internet who would do it to be like, Sony, this is false advertising. I'm suing you. But I would never watch a thing and go, maybe I should try putting my PS5 the wrong way around, just for shits and giggles. Like I don't have 12 grand to just burn.
I tell you, I had to watch a YouTube video when I moved to figure out how that fucking stand clipped on horizontally. Because vertically it's fine, but easier. Horizontally, I'm just like, where does this clip on? And it's like you have to put it, and it has to clip on two specific like little vent openings. Goodness. But there's no indication of, where horizontally it needs to. It's fucking ridiculous. That stand is so shit. It's really, really terrible. So I can understand how this happened. Yeah.
Okay, and then last two pieces of news. The Witcher 3 Complete Edition is a next-gen update with gear from the Netflix series. So happening right now, will be over by the time you listen to this, I think, is WitcherCon.
It's already over by the time we're recording.
Oh, is it just a...
Yeah, it's just like a day stream, yeah.
You just add con onto the end of it, I immediately think it's a weekend thing. Like, whoa, WitcherCon.
WitchCon.
WitchCon, a whole weekend bonanza.
Damn, there's some priests from the 1700s in Spain going, fuck! This is what we warned them about. They've even got a conference for their witches now instead of burning them.
Can't believe this. So obviously WitcherCon, we got I think a teaser for the second season of the Witcher show, which is coming out in December. Praise be. We thought it would be, but good to know that
December
it is in fact coming out in December. And yeah, The Witcher 3 is now coming to PS5 and Xbox Series X, and I think PC also get the upgrade. Yeah, it's just going to be modern day Witcher, which is not a bad thing.
I think they said they're adding like ray tracing to it. So yeah, that's going to be cool. They're also putting some DLC in it inspired by the show, which is interesting.
That's
please
cool.
don't make my Geralt look like Henry Cavill. Keep those two very separate.
You say that, but it might happen.
Yeah, it might happen. I mean, it's like the Insomniac Peter Parker thing. It's like, no, we didn't do it to make him look like Tom Holland. It's just a coincidence that he's really looking like Tom Holland. Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
well, having not played the Witcher DLC, it might be a nice excuse to go back and play them because I'll now have the bells and whistles of a, very look. The Witcher 3, pretty as is, like really one of the most beautiful looking games.
Yeah.
But now add in some ray tracing and some modern day shenanigans, and I'm there.
Yeah, I think that's why I've also just been holding out on playing the DLC because I know that this is coming. So yeah, super keen on it. They also announced a release date for the Witcher anime, which stars
what?
Who's Geralt's mentor in Wild Hunt 3? Vesemir.
Vesemir.
Yeah, it's like a young Vesemir. So it's like an anime. It looks very much like Castlevania in terms of animation style.
Interesting.
So that's coming out end of August.
Oh, okay. That's not too far.
Yeah, Witcher blown up. Who would have thunk?
Meanwhile, the authors, although I suppose the authors got his just dues because the show.
Yeah, he's involved with the Netflix stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just still fighting with CD Projekt about rights to the games because he feels like he sold them for too little.
Yeah, look, I feel for the guy, but it is like you just thought like,
and also the games aren't based on any of the books. They are technically non-canon sequels to the books.
Yeah,
because they all take place.
It's interesting, yeah, because I think it obviously draws, like, I think there are references to the books, but
definitely, yeah,
for all intents and purposes they are completely separate.
Yeah, they're sequels to, I mean, the first game picks up from where the last book ends. So yeah, I don't know. I read a thing, I don't know if it was this week or just this morning, I can't remember, but the first game nearly didn't star Geralt. The CD Projekt Red nearly went with the character created Witcher, which would have been a completely different trajectory for the series.
Yeah.
Very glad they went with Geralt.
Yeah. Good lord. And last piece of news, RoboCop is getting a video game made by is it Nacon?
Yeah, publisher Nacon. I can't remember the developer. I think it's the same developer who did that Terminator game recently. Which wasn't terrible. But yeah, this is only coming out in 2023. I'm not sure why they announced it so early. And the teaser is like, there's no gameplay in this teaser.
What do we see? Oh, we see the city.
Yeah, you see the city. You see his gun come out of his hip, the real RoboCop shit. I think the one thing I'm worried about, and I'm pretty sure this is what will happen, is that this will end up being a shooter where you just kill a lot of people as a robot cop.
Nice.
Where even the movies aren't about that. The movies are real, like, messages on industrialized and cop violence. It's all about the cops belong to a big corporate conglomerate and how they use violence to keep their rule of law in check. So
yeah,
like, how do you make a game with those undertones where you're blasting away people? So I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
People in 2023 are going to be real shocked that RoboCop was actually political. Who would have known?
What?
Yeah, fucking what?
Games aren't political. Keep it out of my shit. I'm joking for those who don't pick up on that. But that's gaming news for this week.
It's actually quite a busy week. I mean, it started off with the new Switch and the State of Play. So.
And I think as the year goes on, we will continue getting some stuff. Okay, shall we get to questions?
Questions. I was going to say gaming news. It's like we just
gaming news. Let's start again.
I mean, Lupin did get into your lap twice, so we could,
you did.
We could do gaming news twice.
It's the duplicate episode.
If you want to send us questions about Deja Vu, you can email us at checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also message us on all of our social platforms at Checkpoint Chat on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, not OnlyFans yet.
Not yet.
Not yet, Medeush coming.
Medeush. We actually have a fair few questions. We have 2 on Twitter, which I did not see until right now. So the first one from Gia Catlin, who asks, did you buy anything good during the Steam sale?
I didn't. I saw that Steam sale was on the first day it was on and then completely forgot about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the Steam sale for me was such a big deal. Like 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, it was the thing of like, holy shit, I can pick up so many games for so cheap. Go through my wish list. What am I buying? Oh shit, I didn't even have any intent to buy the game, but it's so cheap. How can I say no? And then I built up a very big backlog that I've since, I've still got many games that I have not even touched. Like, I think I bought the whole Star Wars collection once. It's like, holy shit. All these Star Wars games, holy shit. And I think I played Knights of the Old Republic 2 for like 3 hours and then never touched
And there's like all this whole
collection.
Games there. There's Star Wars Dark Forces. There's like TIE Fighter. It's,
Yeah, so but even before we started Checkpoint Chat, I learned a few years ago that I'm only going to buy something if I know that's the next thing I'm playing. Like, I just, it became a thing of I was buying games for the sake of them being cheap, but I was just not playing them. And
or even not cheap. I used to buy games at retail, like at launch, just because I'm like, I'll play this eventually, and then not play it for like years. It's like,
see, but now the tables, how are the turntables?
How are the turntables?
Where now I'm very fortunate to be in the position where I get review code, over and above the shit that I buy for myself. So
just adding to your backlog.
I bought nothing. Look, I scrolled through and I went, oh, cool, that's on sale. No time for it. That's on sale, no time for it.
I had several things on my wish list that I got emails for. Cloudpunk is a game that I desperately want to play, but just need to find the time for it. And it's always on sale for like
Cloudpunk?
$70 on Steam. Yeah. It's like a cyberpunk game where you're a taxi driver in the cyberpunk.
Yes, you know who gifted that to me on my birthday.
Oh, did someone gift it to you?
John Michael. He gave me Cloudpunk. He gave me Don't Starve and Cloudpunk. Yeah, I still need to get to that.
Yeah, I really want to play it. It's like one of the things that I'm always tempted. It's that and Divinity Original Sin 2 whenever it's on Steam.
Oh my god, that game has been recommended to me so many times, and I'm just like, I'd love to play it, but
I think we should play it and stream it because that game is real good with other people. So I also think the Steam sales have lost something. I know they did this for the better, like because people were getting burned by the daily deals. Like they were buying a game and then the next day it was like even more discounted. But that rush of logging on every day, I think it really helped like erode my will to not buy something.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I remember as well. I think it was not just every day. I think it was every 8 hours. There were deals.
It's ridiculous.
And it was exciting to go like, oh, like what's the next batch of deals? Like there's 30 games here. Oh, cool. Oh, like shit, I really want this one. Yeah. But then the moment they flipped the switch, where it was like, okay, it's the summer sale. Yeah, the specials. I was like, oh. Like
I feel like the excitement.
Things are still cheap, but the excitement's I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, that game's on sale. That's nice. Like, where's the excitement gone? So boring answers. Sorry, did not buy a thing. But tell us what you bought on the Steam sale. What backlog games did you purchase for yourself? We have a question from Tyron Armstrong, otherwise known as @OddlyOtter. Who asks, have you watched any of the Resident Evil series on Netflix?
I haven't, but I want to.
It came out yesterday, I think, or the day before.
Yeah, but there's been there's been a couple of movies that they put on as like a backlog thing.
Yeah, I caught up on those.
Yeah, I watched one where it was Leon was in like it almost felt like a fictional Bulgaria or something like that. I can't remember which one it was. It was weird. I can't say.
Can I tell you all the movies? All three of those movies are weird. Let me know when you get to the one where Chris fights the dude and they like roll.
They just roll.
Shooting it at each other like point blank range, but they're like dodging each other's shots at like 2 meters apart.
There's this one action sequence.
It's so funny. I have not watched the series. I will watch it at some stage. But like I said, last night, for example, I climbed into bed thinking I'm going to play some Monster Hunter, played 15 minutes and then shut my little sleepy eyes and passed out. You know I'm tired when I fall asleep before Lenska, let me tell you. She climbed into bed and she was still scrolling and I was like, I'm sleeping now, good night. Yes, I was exhausted.
Yeah, I get those days every now and then where I actually go to bed the same time as Shani. And she's like, whoa, what is going on? Are you sick?
Who are you and why are you in the bed? Okay, so that's all we had on Twitter. We have some questions on Instagram. Oh my God, let me just skip ahead there. We had an interesting question from Motion Mojo who asks, if you could be any Disney character for a year, who would you be? Which I found very interesting. Only for a year though. So yeah, you need to think carefully here. My gut reaction, if I think of young me, child Matty, I used to love the idea of being the genie from Aladdin. For the mere fact that,
okay,
you know, you can just grant yourself. Look, I'm talking genie post Jafar, who's free from the lamp, who can just do whatever the hell he wants. Like I always thought it was so cool to just snap your fingers and get whatever the hell you want. So I think that'd be pretty sweet for a year, you know, just fulfill
snap
my own
your
wishes.
fingers and do whatever you want. Okay, yeah, no, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
You could also do impressions of like everything because the genie does like sick impressions of things that aren't even in the same time period. It's really dope.
Rip Robin Williams, who really brought that character to life. Such a good dude.
Yeah, really, really good. Just a phenomenal interpretation of that character, and I think you can't like. I haven't watched. I
haven't watched the live action either.
Yeah, I haven't watched the live action.
Will Smith?
One. Yeah, it's Will Smith, but I think it's very hard to like imagine someone taking Robin Williams' place.
Oh yeah, for sure. So who would you be for a year? For a whole year? I mean,
I'd be Simba. You know why? I wouldn't have to have a job. Yes. I could just sleep all day.
Oh my God.
And just like run around and hunt once a day and get food and just chill out in the fucking sun for a whole year and be the ruler of a kingdom. That'd be dope.
Male lions don't hunt, remember? I think the female lions hunt. So you just sleeping.
Wouldn't even need to hunt. I just get to sleep for
Nala just going like, here you go, dear. Here's dinner. You go.
Maybe this is too much of a boomer answer for some people, you know.
We'll get there. Simba,
but
I like that.
I just chilling as a lion for a year. That sounds fucking awesome. I would love that.
My goodness. So we have a few questions from Chilo. So we'll start with the one that you just touched on now. He asks, you have 1 million that you can spend on yourself. So now you guys,
we've heard this question before.
You guys might think, hey, hang on, we answered this before, but then he adds on, no boomer answers, please. So let me just preface
we're responsible with our money, god damn it.
Let me preface this by saying that when I logged in to play some late night Dota on Thursday, Chilo immediately said, I asked that question and I listened. I was so disappointed because you guys gave such boomer answers. You know, I'll invest the money. Like, what a boring answer.
Well, you know what, Chilo? I'm always disappointed by your performance in Track
Menu, but you don't see us crying about it.
Yeah, you don't see us crying about it. Yeah, exactly.
But then
we still play with you.
What made me laugh, I'm like, well, you said that you only have the money for 24 hours. So I'm trying to make it that I keep the money to some degree, you know?
Exactly. I don't want to just like spend it and then lose it.
And then he just adds on like, no, your investments will burn. If you buy property, they'll just burn down. I'm like, oh, well, this wasn't in the question.
Yeah, that wasn't a caveat that we knew.
This wasn't a little detail. So he said he would put all of his friends on a private jet and like go to somewhere like Disneyland or somewhere abroad and just have like a big party for the 24 hours. So I don't know. That's a sort of thing he's looking for.
Okay. So how much is it again?
$1 million. You got a lot of money now. All right, can I just add that he said he would fly to Las Vegas, and I'm like, okay, so in your 24 hours,
more than 24 hours, yeah.
Your 24 hours, you're gonna be in a plane. He's like, I'll hire a private jet. I'm like, do private jets go faster or something? He's like,
no.
I'll get there in 8 hours. I'm like, I don't know if private jets go twice as fast as the conventional.
So you'd arrive in Vegas and then the 24 hours would be up, so you'd be stuck in Vegas with no
and then
money.
Your jet would explode because that's how this game works. You know, everything you touch burns after 24 hours.
Fuck's sake. Well, considering buying a car would make no sense because it would just like burn in 24 hours.
Right.
I would rent a fucking cool car like a McLaren P1 or something. And maybe take it to like a track to have like a full-on track day with that car. And then, I would probably hire out like a penthouse at a very expensive hotel because then I could spend a night in luxury and order just like the most boring food. You see, this sounds like a boring answer because it's like, yes, I would buy expensive things.
Until at midnight, the hotel burns down because that's how this works.
You know, and then I have to escape out of the fire escape.
The food you've eaten, it burns in your tummy. It's gone.
You just have to like, you have explosive diarrhea the next day because it has to get out.
Yes, yeah. I like the idea of traveling abroad, except that takes up unnecessary time in your 24 hours. So I think I'm pretty much in the same page as you. I think I like the idea of a track, but I think with $1 million, you could afford to have a whole lot of friends or family with you. So imagine like...
Fuck that, that's my $1 million.
No, but I'm saying how cool would it be if you get a whole track and you like race your mom and your dad and your close friends and stuff.
Recreate Mario Kart and Kyle on each
other. Oh my God. With McLarens, holy shit.
Throw blue shells at each other.
Oh my God. But also, yeah, the idea of having, like, you could rent out not just a penthouse, like I think with $1 million, you could rent out a whole hotel, for example.
Probably, yeah.
A whole level of a hotel, depending on how fancy you're getting.
Yeah.
And just have a fat party, which would be really cool.
I can't even, like, say, you know, I can't even buy anything. Like, I can't buy a dope-ass iPad because it'll just burn again.
It'll just burn.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't make the rules.
I wake up the next day and the iPad is just bricked. And then
so
as soon as I touch it, it launches into combustible flames and burns down my house that I bought with my money as well.
My God. Well, there's your millennial answer, Chilo. We'll just waste our money.
Final destination shit.
What would be the rudest animal if it could speak? Except Sandy. He said it, not me.
Wait, sorry, what?
What would be the rudest animal if it could speak, except for Sandy? I think he's calling it an animal.
Rude.
So much
this
anger.
animal can beat you Trackmania. So
wow. Despite not having thumbs.
We should play Trackmania again because there's a new summer mode. Because when we started, it was summer, and now they've come back full circle.
There's a lot of tracks, yeah. Maybe we should do a little Trackmania stream sometime.
I'm down. I'm super down.
For the lols.
We'll just skip the winter season because no one wants to race like 10 ice tracks in a row.
Oh my God. Which would be the rudest animal? For some reason, the first thing that pops into my head, I think of like a seagull.
That's a good answer. I feel like a seagull, if they could talk, would just swear at you constantly. Hey, give me bread.
Hey,
fuck you, give me bread. Hey,
fuck off, it's my bread.
Yeah. Like the seagulls in is it Finding Nemo? I think it is Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Mine. Okay. It's exactly that.
Seagulls or cats? Cats, I think, would be quite rude.
Cats would be
maybe not rude,
rude,
just very entitled. And like in being entitled, just very rude.
Lupin would come up next to you and be like, "Bitch, open your lap."
Peasant.
Yeah, peasant.
It's my nap time. You know what to do.
How dare you pick me up and put you on your lap? I'm supposed to place myself there.
Good Lord. That's
Yeah,
Lupin.
cats would definitely be up there. I think. Maybe. Trying to think of a rude animal now. Imagine we had the ability to let dogs speak and we realized they're actually just assholes. Like everyone is like, dogs are so wholesome and dogs are so great. And imagine you let them speak and they just like fucking hate humans. Although I think the rudest would probably be like a parrot. Like there's people with fucking parrots, African greys. Like, let me out of this fucking cage.
Yeah. I think what if like you said, dogs actually hate humans and they're passive aggressive. Like you think they're so happy, but they're like, I hate you.
Or they're like telling you, they're like, every time I wag my tail, it's because I vividly like I hate you so much that I have to wag my tail to get the hate.
Jeez, don't say that. Dogs are wholesome.
Yeah, imagine they weren't.
Good Lord.
Imagine the cats were actually the wholesome ones.
Shit, my cats are wholesome. Let me tell you. Do you have a friend who reminds you of a character from a series or movie?
Favorite character from a series or movie?
No. Do you have a friend who reminds you of a character from a series or movie?
Can't think of one off the top of my head. I would say that you remind me of the guy from the IT.
Napoleon Dynamite. Oh.
No. I've actually never watched Napoleon Dynamite.
What?
Yeah.
You've missed out.
But if you've ever watched the IT crowd,
yes, yeah.
I forget his name, but he's really funny. And I mean, it's the afro.
It's
also like the glasses as well and stuff. So yeah, I'd say.
I mean, speaking, I know this isn't the right answer, but people who like when a lot of people told me that I remind them of Napoleon Dynamite. And I was like, who the shit is Napoleon Dynamite? And I went and eventually I rented the movie and I watched it with my cousins. And it was such a weird, almost like a Matrix moment where I was busy watching this movie going, like, this guy, he doesn't have dark hair. Cool, he's got glasses, he's tall, he's lanky, he's got curly hair. Like, but he doesn't really look like me. Until he started moving and talking and some of his mannerisms, I was like, holy shit. It is so jarring. I was like, damn. Yeah, I see the similarities now between me and this character.
How did he say yes like? Or Joe
yes like. He doesn't go yes like, he goes, gosh.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I need to watch it. I remember it's like a blank, like,
it's a real dumb movie, but it's one of those movies where you appreciate it for what it is. It's just silly and it's fun.
Didn't they make a series of it as well? Or something? I swear I've seen like an animated series for Napoleon Dynamite.
But as for a friend that reminds me of someone from a series or movie, I don't know. Nothing comes to mind. Cello reminds me of the guy from... Who's the guy from The Hangover? What's the actor's name? The guy who plays the poker, real smart.
Oh, Zach Galifianakis.
That's it. Yeah, that's Cello. If Zach were to shave his head and lose some weight and be more Afrikaans, that would be Cello, 100%.
There's a lot of caveats to that, but I can see it.
Yeah, but that's it. And let me tell you, Cello is a real smart guy. Okay, the one time I'll never forget. I played years ago. I played chess with Cello. Like we played some online chess, and I thought, I played a bit of chess in school, and like I've played chess over the years. Like I'm pretty good at chess. I mean, I'm no grandmaster, but I know how the game works. I know to be careful.
I'm no Russian grandmaster.
Holy shit! Cello destroyed me. I was like, I did not expect that. I just really thought it was going to be a fair game, but I got demolished. I was like, damn. Cello is a dude from The Hangover. You think he's just a normal guy, but he's like a poker king / chess king. So,
because he's playing chess, every day of his life. He's trying to figure out how to insult us.
Wow,
4D
he's moving
chess.
his pieces carefully.
Yeah.
Good Lord. Okay, we've got 2 more questions. Let's get through these quickly. What animal would you use as your companion in the wild? Please not a cat or a dog. Well. I'm sorry, would
wild.
that be a boomer answer? Because my immediate thing would be, of course, I'll have like a leopard or a tiger. Like, come on, they're just real cool.
No, they just eat you.
No, if they're your companion, like they're there to help you.
But you can't ride a tiger.
You could 100% ride a tiger. Tigers are huge.
That tiger's fucking eating you then.
No, but it's a companion. It's not going to eat you. It's a friend.
Go until it gets sick of your shit riding it.
Oh my God.
I would take a fucking war elephant like they did in the Roman Empire times.
A Roman elephant, holy hell!
That thing would help me conquer lands. I could sleep while we walk.
It could feed you with its trunk. You're busy riding it.
Yeah, it could feed me. It could give. I'd have showers. It could provide me with a shower. Elephant.
Can we just
it's like the Animal
that,
Kingdom's hotel, essentially.
That elephant's trunks are like their nostrils. So if you're showering with elephant water, that's technically snot water. Yeah,
listen,
think about that.
We've all got to make sacrifices.
Sus. I'd probably have a bear. I mean, bears are big. They're cool.
Yes, you really like animals that will eat you, hey?
An elephant will stampede over your face.
It won't eat me, at least.
It'll kill you. It'll just... Look, if my bear turns on me, I'll just play dead. Apparently, that's how you avoid play dead, they ignore you. So there's that.
I feel like it was the other day, but it was before Corona was even a thing. But Shani and I went to the elephant sanctuary in, I think it's Michalisburg. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Real good. If you ever want like a day trip, it's like an hour drive away. And they have a sanctuary there where they take care of elephants and you get to see them up close, personal. I got to feed them fruit. Very cool.
Nice. That's cool.
Very, very cool. They are colossal animals.
Yeah, look, I give you shit, but I love elephants. I think they're very cool as well.
I think they're very cool, yeah. I think they're great.
Yeah. And last question, what will people be nostalgic for in the next 25 years? Which is a very interesting question because, like, what are you nostalgic for now, for example? Like...
The Matrix.
Yeah, I think of things I watched growing up in the 90s, and it is like, you know, those good 90s games, movies like The Matrix, which are just... You watch the CG today, you're like, oof, that's hard
it's a bit rough.
But back then, you're like, holy shit, there are like 40 million Agent Smiths. How did they do that?
Oh God, that scene in particular is real bad to watch nowadays.
Yeah, but like back then, I was like, whoa, did they get the same dude to do all these? I don't know. Even music back then. I think of 80s and 90s. Like there's some look. The
like
90s was a weird.
Scene.
90s was a weird decade. There's some shit from the 90s that we'll just never talk about. But there were some cool things about the 90s. But I don't know, what are we in 2021? So by 2050, what do you think you'll be nostalgic
You know what
for?
I'm nostalgic about? The time when a Big Mac meal was 21 Rand.
I remember. I distinctly remember being in Matric and getting a King Steer burger combo for 35 Rand.
Yep.
When's the last time you went to Steers? Have you seen
it's like
how
90 Rand now. It's ridiculous.
I'm like, look, Steers is real good, but for 90 Rand, 90 Rand for a fast food combo?
Miss me with that shit.
I can get a Big Mac meal, which is still a guilty pleasure of mine to this day, for 45 Rand.
Yeah, it's still decently priced. But I distinctly remember they made a big deal. It was like a big marketing thing. It was like 21 Rand for a Big Mac meal or like 5 Rand for a mini cheeseburger. And it's like, shit. Man, I wish.
Like for 20 Rand, you can get 4.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole ad campaign was like, you can find the change in your car to buy a cheeseburger. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, what must have been in that fucking thing for 5 Rand? Like,
no, I mean, that's you think that's just how inflation and stuff goes, I guess. Because I mean, I remember, if you want to talk about pricing, when I first got my car, I'd say, please fill it up, 300 Rand, whatever. I couldn't get 300 Rand with the petrol in my car. It'd get to like 280. Like, no, it's full. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Now it's like, can you put like 300 Rand, please? And it's like half full. Like,
when I first got my car, I think like 450 would fill my tank, and nowadays it's closer to like 700. Makes me cry.
Sad times.
Thank God Corona came. I hardly drive now. It's fucking awesome.
It's a great time. But 2050, holy shit, what are we going to be nostalgic for? I mean, I'll think of games, I suppose, during this time. Like, that's an easy thing.
But like, damn, the PS3, what a console. The Nintendo Switch.
Imagine, like, even in, like, whatever, 3 to 10 years, whatever, if you're looking to have kids, like, by the time they're old enough to play games, like, are you keen to play a game called Ori? It's real good. Like, I played this game 10, 15 years ago, and it was so good. Wow, it still holds up. It's so beautiful. Damn.
I think we'll get to a point where the nostalgia will be like, man, you used to play games with a controller? It wasn't just like beamed into your brain or your eyeballs or something?
Holy shit, don't say that. That scares me.
I mean, I genuinely think that. Like, we will get to that point where the controller is just
your brain,
an outdated thing. Yeah, you are playing.
Shit, we're going to be playing Elden Ring 3. Imagine how difficult that game will be, because your brain's reflexes will be hopefully a lot faster than your muscles.
Could you imagine?
You're just like dodging and doing everything perfectly. My God.
You know, it will be a nostalgic thing. Discs.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because digital will be. I think next gen digital will be.
Yeah, I think that's in the next 10 years we won't have discs. At all. I also think in 2050 probably the concept of driving cars. I mean, you already have companies like VW and what was the other one I saw? I can't remember now. But they say by 2030 they don't want to be producing any combustion engine vehicles. So like the idea of filling your car with petrol will be a nostalgic thing. Maybe the idea of not taking holidays on another planet will be a thing. You know, who the fuck knows?
Remember when we used to just fly back and forth on Earth?
Or who knows? Maybe in 2015, climate change would have really fucked us over. Like it currently is destroying Canada, so we might not even be alive. Who knows?
Remember in 2020 when we could go outside?
Yeah, exactly. Remember when the sun wouldn't just burn us immediately as soon as we put our hand in the sunlight? You know, that was a great time.
I don't
Remember when
like
Cape Town existed? Now it's just ocean, you know.
This is taking a turn for the worst. I don't like this. This makes me worry. But yeah, I suppose that's.
Damn,
those
remember
are
when
things.
cats weren't our almighty rulers and they were actually our pets? Yeah.
I remember my cat Lupin used to come politely sleep in my lap when I podcasted.
Then he stabbed me in the ribs one night, and that was the start of the revolution.
Wow, shit! Cats became sentient. They communicated, planned this for centuries until on a day that's terrifying.
They struck. It was the day the felines struck. All across the globe, cat owners were shanked in their sleep. And just like that, the New World Order came in.
Became known as Sea Day. Shit.
Lord.
Yeah, that's what we'll be nostalgic for, just what we have today, I guess. Man, this drinking water from my tap, so good, so cold, so delicious.
Listen, there are countries that are nostalgic about that today, because you cannot drink from the tap. I filled up this whole 1.5 liter bottle of water from the tap, and I will not die. That's great.
Yeah.
Third world country for the win.
My God. Well, that is all the questions, and we have nearly hit the 2-hour mark. Good grief.
Yeah, for an episode where we hardly have games to talk about.
We don't have any games to talk about 2 hours later.
We just have lots of shit to talk.
We do. We've got all the shit to talk.
But if you want to send us questions, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. You can also send us questions on our social platforms at Checkpoint Chat on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any time of the week, any day, whenever you want to send a question. We'll get it and we'll read it. That's basically it. It's been episode 151 of Checkpoint Chat. As always, thank you so much for listening. And as always, we will be back next week, episode 152, unless we forget our account between now and then. It's entirely possible. It's entirely possible.
You never know.
Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you. Goodbye.
Bye.